Hey guys, welcome in. We'll get started here in about 5 minutes. So 5-minute warning, grab a drink, grab your laptop. Hopefully you're on Zoom on your laptop, and then grab your cell phone because we're gonna be using your cell phone to actually go through the consumer app. So we'll get started here in about 5 minutes. See you here shortly. All right, guys, so it is 2:30. We'll go ahead and get started. So welcome in. This is your Q2 South Texas Market Center training. We are focusing today on the KW Consumer app. So for those of you that I haven't met, my name is Marty Miller. I am your South Texas Regional Technology Trainer, or RTT. I have been with Keller Williams for 6 years. I joined a team pretty early on in my career where I served as a buyer's agent. I worked as a listing agent, served as the vice president of expansion when we opened our first expansion office, got to come back and work as the vice president of sales for the sales team there on my team, and then ultimately became the president of that team when my rainmaker stepped out to do some commercial-based projects. So that was a great experience, 4.5 years. We were a top 15 team in Houston during that time. They still are doing extremely well. However, I had an opportunity to follow kind of a passion for coaching and became the productivity coach at the Platinum Market Center. Premier was my first market center. There in Cypress, north of Houston, worked with Randy Olive, Karina, and Lance Loken. If you've met any of the three of those dynamic characters, got to do that for about 14 months. And then recently just joined you all as your RTT for South Texas. The first of the year. So if I haven't met you, good to meet you. If I have met you, good to see you again. That kind of segues into our housekeeping portion. You guys can see that you are on a Zoom webinar. So good news is that I can't see you and no one else can either. So if you're having a late lunch, if your kids are running in the background, no big deal. We can't hear you either. So the dog barking or the lawn guys coming through, they won't pose a problem. So hopefully that'll allow you a little bit more freedom to be involved and yet not be so super concerned about what's happening in your world. With regards to Zoom webinars, if you will look down at the bottom of your screen, you do have a couple of things I wanted to draw your attention to. First, you should have a little icon that says participants. If you click on participants, you do have the ability to then click on your name and raise your hand. It's a quick and easy way if you have a specific question that you want to discuss in person with me, audio, person to person, meaning we can hear your audio. I may call on a couple of you guys to share with me throughout the class, just to kind of break it up a little bit. You should also have a chat button at the bottom. So if you have questions, you can click on chat, throw those in the chat, and I'll do my best to sort of answer those as we go through. So to answer the question that many people ask, yes, this is being recorded. I will upload the recording to my YouTube channel. I'll send over that link to your leadership team so they can send it out. If for any reason you need to leave early or you have a cutout or the dog just won't stop barking, whatever it may be, we can get that recording over to you guys. So let's see, Bruce Rodden, my boy Bruce. Hey, what kind of app are we discussing today, Bruce? What kind of app are we discussing today? Bruce, you can throw that answer in the chat if you'd like. What kind of app are we discussing is the question. And if Bruce stepped away from his computer, anyone else that wants to answer it? All right, Bruce said the KW Consumer app. I'm sorry, Bruce, the KW what app? The KW Consumer app. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page, right? So that's a little bit tongue in cheek. And yet I have had a lot of concern or questions from agents saying, hey, the app won't let me do this. Hey, the app won't let me do that. That's because you're thinking with your agent cap on. And you take that agent cap off and put your consumer hat back on and say, okay, this is a consumer app, meant that I need to look at it through the eyes of the consumer. And that's what we're going to do for the majority of the first half, 2/3 of this class. I'm going to walk you through the app as if you were the consumer so that you can showcase some of the amazing functions that are available for the consumer. And then you have some kind of almost sales points, if you will, when you start to talk to them. Because we know they're probably using some sort of app, we want to get them off of that app and get them onto our consumer app. So by showing you what they can do in there, you can then discuss that with them and help them learn the app as well. So let's go ahead and dive into Zoom. I'm going to share my phone with you real quick. And we can do that, and then that, and then that. All right, so you should now be able to see my phone. And if you have not already, I want you to go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the KW Consumer app. It's usually listed under KW Realty. You'll see white background with red letters, and it'll say KW. If you haven't already, make sure you've downloaded the app. That's going to be homework item number 1. Obviously, go through and download the app. When you download the app from the App Store and when you're a consumer, because right, when you're downloading it just as the consumer would, you are downloading a non-branded version, meaning that it is not connected to any one agent and it has limited functionality. They can still search, but they can't create collections, they don't have a guide, there's a lot of things that they don't have available to them when they download the non-branded version. You'll know that it's a branded version because you're sending out your text links or your URLs and they're downloading your version. When you come down to the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see there's 5 icons on the bottom. Bottom right says more. There was an update to the app that happened about 3 weeks ago now, I believe. This button at the bottom right used to say you, Y-O-U. So if you're looking at your app and it says you need to do an update of your app. And the most recent version has that more, M-O-R-E. You're going to know that this is a branded app by clicking on the more button, and you should see an app, right, an agent at the very top. If for any reason you come into your app and it looks like this, it means that it is a non-branded version, meaning that you have not selected an agent to do business with. So when you're sharing your app, I will say that the majority of the time there are no issues. And yet with as big of a matrix as KW Command and the consumer app are, there's glitches sometimes. I would always recommend that you follow up, right? Trust and verify, sorry, Steve. And make sure that your clients have downloaded your app. If it looks like this, they haven't connected to you. And so in order to connect to an agent, all I would have to do would be click on Find an Agent. And let's see, where do we want to search? We want to search, let me just search for you guys. So I could start searching for an agent in Round Rock. So I would click on that box. If I don't know my agent's name or who I want to use, I could just say, hey, I'm looking to move to Round Rock, Texas. And I would click on Round Rock, Texas. And then it's going to bring up a list of agents available that service the Round Rock area. Now, I don't know any of the agents that are listed on this screen right here. Maybe I do, I don't think I do. However, let me ask you this. Of the 6 agents listed on this screen, which 2 are you more than likely to do business with, right? Regardless of whether you know them or not, think with your consumer hat, which of the 2 agents on the screen are you most likely to do business with? Throw your answer there in the chat form. Who are you likely to do business with? It looks like you guys are not going to buy a lot of houses. There we go. Cynthia, Candy are coming in. Now we're getting the answers there. Someone said, Lawrence. Well, yes, I would argue that the consumer is most likely, no offense to any of the other 4 agents on here, they're all amazing agents, by the way, that the consumer will most likely look to connect with Lawrence or Jerry. And the reason being is they actually have photos uploaded. The consumer is looking to make a connection with someone they're going to spend a lot of time with over the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 6 to 12 months, right? And they're looking to make that connection. So your first piece of homework was to download the app if you haven't already. Your second piece of homework is to go into the KW Command marketing profile and the KW Connect profile and make sure that those are completely filled out. Okay, you want to make sure that your headshot, your team information, your bio, your all your accreditations, everything is completely filled out. Let me show you, right? The only agent that I know very well that has completely filled all that information out. Well, I'm sure there are many, but I can show you mine, right? So here is my profile. When a consumer would look for me, they'd see my headshot, they would see my team name and team logo, they're going to see the address of my market center, they're going to see my specialties and designations, sell in office, email, and then my full bio as well. This is what you want yours to look like. If you're not on a team, obviously just your information. Now, the consumer gets to this point and they sometimes think they're done. However, they still have not connected the app to me. My consumers have not connected this app to me until they click on Get in Touch at the very bottom and then choose Confirm. You'll see that there's actually a confirmation screen that typically pops up right now. Give it a second. That says you have been connected to Marty. If for any reason that screen doesn't pop up, you can always come back out. Well, yeah, it must know it's Friday and wants to work funny on me. All right, so let's see if that actually branded. Okay, so you'll know that it rebranded back to me because at the very top of the menu there, it'll say your agent, Marty Miller, license number, view profile. And I've done that 3 times today, so it may just be kind of finicky with me going back and forth. However, typically when you get in touch, the screen will pop up and it'll say, okay, and it says Marty Miller is now your agent. He will help you through the process of buying and selling homes, you know, yada, yada. So that's what it typically looks like. So this is the actual screenshot I would take of my phone, and I would text this to the people that I was hoping to download my app, just to make sure A, they downloaded it, and then B, that it looks like this. That way they know it's branded to me. Okay, so that's a little bit about, number 1, it's a consumer app. If you have not downloaded it previously, please know that just like the consumer, you're going to have to create an account. Even though you're a Keller Williams agent with a KW Command account, a Connect account, a My KW account, you're still going to have to create a consumer account, right, on the actual screen. So you got to make sure that you download the app, and then when asked to, you're going to have to come in and actually put in a username, an email, a password, and create that account, and then go ahead and brand the app to yourself. So let's dive into search. So on the search, you can see there are a variety of different ways to search. Let's see who's on the call. I know that Bruce was on. Let's see, I saw Steve earlier. We'll open it to everybody. It's Friday afternoon. Let's all have fun together. Let's throw in the chat, if there was anywhere you wanted to move to and money was no object, you could go there, but it's near a major landmark. A major landmark, where would you want to live near? I'll give you an example, Disney World. Okay, so you can't say Disney World. Where else would you want to live by? Okay, Candy, where in San Diego? Like that's a city, but is there a particular place that you would like to go to in San Diego? Anyone else have a specific spot that they like to be? SeaWorld. Okay, so Candy is saying SeaWorld, San Diego. Candy, do you know the address of SeaWorld? That's okay, I don't either. SeaWorld, comma, San Diego. And I'm gonna search. Hey Candy, is that where SeaWorld is located in San Diego? Looks like SeaWorld Drive to me. Pretty sure that looks like San Diego. It looks like the coast of California. There it is. Did we put an address in? Nope, didn't put an address in. Let's just say we do want to live near Disney World because we're sick of flying to Orlando every, how often you guys go to Disney World. I can put in Disney World and search, and boom, I get taken directly to Disney World. Did I put in a city, a state, or an address? Nope, just put in Disney World. Now let's not get too political, but maybe I wanted to live near the White House. I could type in White House, and there you go. Personally, I volunteer for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I work about 6 9-hour shifts during that time, and man, those late night drive home, they're not so much fun. It'd be nice to have an investment property near Reliant Arena, and there's Reliant Arena. Not once did I have to put in the address, the city, or the state. And so this app is connected to Google. So when you're searching, now I could have put in SeaWorld, and I'll be transparent, it probably would have pulled up San Antonio before it pulled up San Diego, because I'm closer to San Antonio than I am San Diego, right? And yet it's looking for major, let's just say, I can't think of anything else right now, but you can search for landmarks and it'll give you its best guess of where that landmark is located without you having to actually know the address, the name of the city, any of that type of information. So that's search item number 1, is the ability to search for landmarks or key locations. What about neighborhoods? Let's see, Bruce, give me the name of a popular neighborhood there in your area, a popular neighborhood there in y'all's area that a lot of people know about. Terra Vista. All right, so I'm going to search. Is that how it's spelled? 1 R? Terra Vista? I just want to make sure it's being spelled correctly. Terra Vista. All right, so is it Terra Vista Round Rock? Sure enough, it is 1 R, Bruce. Look at the list. Everybody see it on my phone? Terra Vista Round Rock. I don't know much about Round Rock. I just know that Terra Vista is a nice neighborhood to live in. And now I get transported directly to Terra Vista. And by the way, look at this information that I'm getting about the actual neighborhood without even having to click on it. I'm getting average days on market, average home price and price per square foot. I'm starting to get sold stats, what the locals are saying about this area. I can see more information about what the locals are. I'm going to tell you in the future, in just a few minutes, how to add places to your consumer app so that the consumer can then see how long would it take me to drive, bike, or walk from my house or my neighborhood to a particular place. I can get information about the Terra Vista School District, or schools that are zoned to Terra Vista, right? It's probably not the school district, but Terra Vista's schools. And then if there's any private schools, and then the homes that are for sale in that neighborhood. I can swipe left and start seeing through all of the different homes that are listed. Looks like there's a lot of new construction there in Terra Vista and some existing as well. I can search for any neighborhood, right? If you've ever heard about Katy, you might know Cinco Ranch, pretty popular neighborhood. I could put in Cinco Ranch and search for that as well. And then boom, I'm zoomed into the heart of Cinco Ranch and I can start looking at all of the different neighborhoods. Now, when you're first zoomed out, you may just be able to see no blue lines, right? You can see there are no blue lines on my map. As I begin to zoom in, the blue lines start to show up. However, there's no identifiers as far as the actual neighborhood. And as I continue to zoom in further, you can see the neighborhood names start to pop up. So I can search by neighborhood. I can also just zoom in on the map where I am and start to learn more about each one of these neighborhoods. And I can click on each one and get a pretty good snapshot of what's happening in that neighborhood by looking, okay, that's what's happening in Creekstone, that's what's happening in Cornerstone Place, that's what's happening over here in the Estates of Chesterfield, right? And so you can start to learn more about specific neighborhoods. Guys, this is something you can do as a realtor. If you don't know a lot about the neighborhoods that are in your farm or in your area or that someone's asking about, hey, what do you know about the Estates of Chesterfield? I don't know anything. But I can come in here and type it in, and all of a sudden I can get a pretty good idea of what's happening in the Estates of Chesterfield. I know what schools they're there. I know how well the scores are. I know what the average price point is, how long homes tend to stay on the market there, right? And you get all of that information as a realtor by using the consumer app, just like the consumer would. Now, it doesn't all have to be fancy, right? I can do a standard house search. So if I'm just coming in for the first time to the consumer app, I can just say, well, I'm looking for a house that is between 300, and I'm just holding down on these sliders and sliding left. I clicked on the price button at the very top. Oops, fat fingered it there, sorry. And these are a little sensitive sometimes. So there's 300, and let me go, let's say, probably not up into the millions, maybe 300 to 450. There's my price range, okay? Now, how many bedrooms do I want? I didn't tell you guys, but my wife and I have twin 5-year-old daughters, and we're expecting our third daughter, August 19th, little Lily May. So obviously I gotta have at least 4 bedrooms. I can click on property type. I wanna make sure it's a single family home. I can click on more and then start adding additional criteria. So the first thing to note is maybe I'm not looking to buy a house, maybe I'm looking to lease a house. I can click on listing type where it says for sale. And then you can see towards the bottom, there is for rent. So I could change it from for rent to for sale, depending on which way we're going there. Thanks guys, I appreciate it. So there are several different categories there: pending, coming soon, new construction, foreclosures, and short sales. I'll say several of these are still under development, meaning that you can click on the buttons, but it's not going to bring back listing data. At least that's the case right now in HAR. I've been working with a few agents there in the Austin area that are experiencing a few similar kind of outages, if you will. So right now I know active works, and that's obviously the most important thing that we want to be searching for. 3 girls means at least 3 bathrooms, right? Having 3 girls share 1 bathroom, I'm just not up for that kind of life. Living area, 2,600 square feet in our current home has been fun during the quarantine, but it sure would be nice to have a little bit bigger. Now, that being said, who wants to clean a 5,000 square foot house? So let me scroll back down. 4,500 looks great. And I can continue to build out criteria should I choose to with all these different characteristics that you can see below. Once I'm done with that, I can click on the word done in the top right-hand corner. Now on the screen, looks like price didn't take. Hang on real quick. It's giving me a little bit of trouble earlier too. So let's do 300 to 450. I'll slide that back down. All right, so now you can see, that's 440, close enough. You can see we are now searching for homes between 300 and 440 with at least 4 bedrooms, at least 3 bathrooms, right? At least, I can't remember what I did, 3,000 to 4,500 square feet. These are all of the properties that are available in those price points. Now, let's say I want to zoom in just a little bit. I'm looking at the screen here. I want to make sure that I am living, let's just say east of 99, which is that major thoroughfare that you're going to see moving south to north on my screen. I want to be south of I-10, which is your top line. I want to be north of the tollway, which is your bottom line. So I could just say, hey, let me click on the draw button. And now I can just click on the screen. I'm holding down my finger and I'm tracing the area in which I'm interested in living in. Literally just kind of trace that on the screen. And now all of a sudden, it's showing me properties that are in my area that I have outlined. You can see there are no listings outside of that area. And so now I have an area that I want to live in, a price point, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. But I don't want to have, that took a while to put all of that criteria in. I don't want to have to do that every time I come into the app. Well, you don't have to. You can actually click on save at the top right-hand corner. There's that little ribbon button. So I'm going to click on save. And I'm going to call this West, actually it's East Cinco Homes, and click on save. And it saved my search. Now you'll see at the bottom, there's a button called saved. That's where we're going to come into to find this search again. So let me go into more at the top right-hand corner. Let's just clear all those filters out. Click on done. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in, right? And I'm going to scroll out because this is probably how they're going to look at the app when they first come in. And they're like, oh man, it reset all of my properties. It's like, now it's just showing me homes everywhere. I don't want to have to go through that whole process again. So I can click on the heart. And then you can see at the bottom, I've got recent saved searches, East Cinco Homes, and I can click on that. and boom, immediately I'm taken right back to that search that I took all that time earlier to kind of draw out and set up. So there's how you do a saved search. Now let's dive in a little bit further and say, let's look at a listing. All right, let's pick a house, any house. All right, $394 looks like a good price point. Let's choose that one right there in the middle. So when I select any of these listings on the map, you can see that it pulls up the listing data at the bottom of the phone. Now I can hold down on that picture and start sliding up, and the listing information will take over the entire screen. At the very top, you can see that this agent has uploaded 31 photos, and I can see number 1, I can swipe left, there's 2, there's 3, and just start kind of perusing the house by swiping through the different photos. Next, you're going to see the price, $394,000. Just so you know, there's some white space below the price above the address. If this home has had a recent price decrease, you'll see a squiggly down arrow, and then it'll tell you what the price reduction was. So like 5,000, 3,000, 10,000, whatever that reduction was. Next, I can see the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage that this home has, and then of course the address. Below that, there are 3 buttons. So I've got Save, Hide, and Share. Save is if I want to save this as one of my favorites. I want to easily be able to access this property again in the future. So if I click on Save, you'll see now I can decide, okay, do I want to save this to one of my collections, or do I want to create a new collection? So I can click on Create a New Collection, and then it'll say, what do you want to call it? And this might be my East Cinco homes. Right, you can see earlier I created a collection called Cedar Park Homes. I created a collection called Cinco Ranch Homes. Let's just say that this is my new collection. I can click on Save and then click on that little checkbox. And now I have saved this property to that collection. Remember the heart button on the bottom? Let's scroll out of this listing. And you can see I click on Saved at the very bottom. And now I have my collection at the very top. Everybody see where it says East Cinco Homes? That's the collection I just created. I can click on it, and it'll show me all of the homes that I've added to that collection. So I can continue, if I find some other homes in East Cinco that I like, I can continue to add more properties to that collection as well. Remember, this is all the consumer doing as the consumer would do, but a lot of times you need to train the consumer on how to actually use the app. And again, they're going to tell you, oh, I already have XYZ app. We definitely don't want them on the Z app, right? So what does our app do different that those other apps do not? And what does it do on par with those other apps? Because we want to show them, hey, my app can do all of that. Everything you're doing over there, it can do. And, right, neighborhood data, we've already talked about, not available in that app. Search by landmark. Go in one of those apps if you have one on your phone. I hope you don't have one of those on your phone, but just in case you did, go search for the White House. Go search for San Francisco Bay Bridge. Go search for Disney World and see what comes up when you're using those apps. So again, another kind of selling feature to get your consumers off of their app and into our app. Looking further into this property, I also have the ability to hide. We probably know those people that come along and they're like, yep, I want to see all the homes and I look at them every day and I've already seen this one, and you know, my wife does not like stainless steel. We would just not, that'd just be, nope, that's a no. I can click on hide, and you're going to see the eye then turns red. When I come back to the map, watch what happens to that listing. Poof, it's gone, right? So it's going to be minimized, and then shortly, as soon as it starts searching again, now you can see it is no longer on the map. If I did that by accident, I can always come up to the More button at the top right-hand corner, click on More, scroll down. The very last button says Show Hidden Listings. I can put that slider on, click on Done. Then it shows back up. You can see it kind of grayed out at the bottom. And I could click on the actual listing and then unhide it by clicking on the Hide button one more time. So now it'll show back up. If I wanted to share this listing with somebody, right, whether this is my partner, my husband, my wife, my mom, my dad, best friend, whatever, I can click on the Share button. And I can share that via text, email, Facebook Messenger. I've got Discord and Slack, all these other different channels. And if you share it via text, it basically just provides them with a link to the property so that they can actually pull that up either on their browser, mobile browser typically, right, using Safari or Chrome or whatever they're using, and check out the listing that you have then shared with them. As we continue to scroll down, you can see that you've got 2 great buttons there. You've got Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered automatically embedded into every listing that's on the KW Consumer app. Guys, I'm sure you're sharing those opportunities with your buyers, and yet in reality, every now and then we might forget, oh, I thought I told them about it, maybe I didn't. Did I tell them about it? This is kind of the great CYA. Every one of your consumers on the app will know about, or have the opportunity at least, to know about Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered by clicking on those buttons. Obviously, I know some of us have our favorite local lenders. Guys, I've been working with one for 4.5 years. And he literally told me when I had this discussion about Keller Mortgage, Marty, bring it on. I'm like, I can't look even better if you don't compare me to other lenders. And I'm like, well, it's Keller Mortgage, and they give $1,000 credit and 0 origination. And he's like, it's all right, I'll tell them what I do well. You tell them what Keller Mortgage does well, and then we'll let them decide. But that's the great thing, is you want to give your client options, right? You should always be giving them options. And Keller Mortgage, I would hate for one of your buyers to find out you had access to Keller Mortgage after they buy a house with you. You didn't tell them about Keller Mortgage, and then they realize that they possibly could have lost out on several $1,000s that you could have helped them save through Keller Mortgage. So it's kind of a great thing that it's already included in there on the app, easily accessible for the consumer. Below that, you can click on Read More, and then you can see the actual description of the property being pulled from the MLS. Now, let me ask you a question. Based upon what you can see on my screen, who is the listing agent for this property? Listing agent for this property. Vince, you're actually just sharing the link, so they can pull that up from any mobile browser. They don't need the app. As long as they have Safari on their phone or whatever web device they use on their phone, they'll get it. If they're sharing it via email, then they'll pull it up on their browser that they're using in their desktop or laptop. Who's the listing agent? Yeah. I can tell you guys are like reading every word. You're searching for it. Somebody tell me who it is. Who is the listing agent on this property? April says Abbey Realty. April, that's close. The listing agent works for Abbey Realty, but Abbey Realty is the name of the brokerage. Although it does sound kind of like, I mean, how awesome would it be if your last name was Realty and you were a realtor, right? That would be amazing. And yet Abbey Realty is actually the brokerage. Here's the deal, guys. It's a trick question. There is no listing agent listed on this listing. So if they need to contact someone about this listing to get more information, who are they going to be forced to contact? Us, right? They're going to come back to us. Guys, you spend so much time. I know how much time you spend. You're calling these people, texting these people, following up. 6 months later, they finally said, yes, we're interested in buying. You get them, start looking, and all of a sudden, right? I hope it never happens to you, but if it hasn't, you haven't done enough transactions yet. At some point, some buyer is going to back end you by going straight to the listing agent and attempt to cut you out of the deal. Can they still find the listing agent for this property in the MLS or on some other app? Yes, absolutely. However, it's going to be a little more difficult. And if someone goes to that length, then maybe I don't want to work with them anyway, right? Let's be real. So that's one feature. Now, it's not necessarily a selling feature for the consumer, but it should certainly be a selling feature for you as the agent. One reason why you want to get them onto your app is it's very difficult for them to contact anyone but you when they're using your app, right? So just kind of a selling point for the consumer app and why you want your people on it. As we continue to scroll down in this property listing, you can see the home details. I can click on see more and see additional things that have been loaded in from the MLS. You can actually explore the neighborhood from the property listing as well. So earlier we were searching by neighborhood and zooming in on the neighborhoods. I can get a better feel for where this property is located by clicking on explore next to the neighborhood. And then I can get all of that same data for this neighborhood that I was showing you earlier. I can then minimize that for the neighborhood. And we'll go back into the, oops, come on, there it goes. Go back into the listing. So we've got the information about the neighborhood. There's a quick market snapshot. If they didn't actually click on explore, they can still see a basic snapshot of what's happening in the app, right? Next, they've got what locals say, so driven by spatial.ai. They've got walkability, commute times. I'm going to show you where they can add these 3 places. So they can pick any 3 places they want. Typically, they want to know how far is that property from work? How far is it from the girls' private school? How far is it from my favorite grocery store? How far is it from church? Whatever it may be, right? So they can choose 3 locations that they want to know how far it's going to be, any listing is. And then they can also say, all right, it's an 18-minute drive to my parents' house, but if I wanted to bike there, it'd be 46 minutes. But if I wanted to walk there, it'd take me about 3 hours, right? I jokingly put in KWRI's address there at the very bottom, just in case I ever get the opportunity to work at KWRI and I wanted to commute. It would take me 2 hours and 19 minutes on average to get to Austin, KWRI, than where I am now. So these are places, and I'll show you, like I said, in just a second. Take this with a grain of salt, guys. I know Austin traffic is probably just as bad as Houston traffic. So it's an average, it's a rule of thumb. If they're attempting to drive somewhere at 5:30 in Houston, like add an hour, add 30 minutes, depending on how far away it is. Next, you can see the listing, just like the neighborhood, has information about the school. How often are we told, don't be the source of the information, be the source of the information? Here's a great example. If they say, how good are the schools? I can say, well, actually, you can pull up any listing on my KW Consumer app and get the scores of the school straight from the app. You can actually also see the student-teacher ratio. Because someone may look at, let's just say, Exley Elementary School and say, wow, 93%, that's not so good. Because they're coming from an elementary school where their kid was at where it's scoring 99%. They might say 93%, wow, that's amazing, right? They might say student-teacher ratio 16:1, no, that's okay, because they were in a smaller private school that maybe had a 10:1. So we're not making judgment on these scores, we're just providing this information, and then the actual consumer can decide what that looks like. As they continue to scroll down, they can see if there are any open houses. They can put together an idea of a mortgage payment. Now just realize this does not include taxes. So they're probably still going to be best off utilizing their, working with their lender, obviously to get a better picture, but it's a rule of thumb, does not include taxes. Color mortgage and color covered, in case you didn't see it the first time, included down below as well. And then you've got nearby homes and all of the legal and additional information that's included on every single one of these listings, right? One thing I didn't show you because we brought it up, let's say I want to, in Katy, there's actually 3 school districts that Katy they kind of triangle right in the middle of Katy. So if I wanted to make sure that I was searching for a house within Katy Independent, I can actually start searching, and there's Katy Independent School District, and it's going to show me the boundaries of the school district, and then only show me homes that match my criteria within the actual school district. So that's another great way. If they say, hey, I've got to make sure that I'm at Round Rock School District or whatever the school districts are out there, then you can actually search by school district. And again, guys, remember, this is nationwide. So if they're moving to another city and they've heard, well, one school district's better than the other, they can do the exact same thing that we're doing on their app as well. So we talked about the different ways to search. Show of hands, right? Electronically, virtually show of hands. How many of you are like me? You are out driving, you're out walking, you're out riding your bike, whatever it may be, you're exploring the neighborhoods, and you see a for sale sign. And the first thing you think of, how much is it, right? You don't even care. You're not looking to buy a house, right? Are you like me? Like you literally are like, I just want to know. I'm nosy, I'm curious. I just want to know how much it is. Or who's the listing agent, or any of that type of information, right? So it's a quick and easy way for you to find out listings near you. If you click on that button at the very top corner, I'm going to clear out the filters so we can show you this. At the very top right corner, there's that little triangle, and it's kind of cockeyed left. Everybody see that? I can click on that triangle, and based upon the GPS locator inside my phone, it immediately zooms me into where I am standing right now. So if I'm on vacation, right, I used to work for high-end steakhouses, Perry Steakhouse and Grill, Papa's Brothers Steakhouse. They would take us to Napa Valley once a year. And I always say, oh man, I want to move to California. It's so beautiful here in the weather. And then I could look on my KW Consumer app. I could click on the arrow next to that winery I was standing in and realize that houses in that neighborhood were $1.4 million for 1,200 square feet. And then I realized that's why I'm not moving to California. So it's a great way anytime you're out and you're traveling, or just if you're just traveling locally and you see a house, you want more information, you can click on the arrow and boom, just like that, get information about that property. Guys, you can use the consumer app as well, just as much as the consumer can, right? So definitely have that ability as well. So we've talked about the abilities to search. We've talked about what happens when you view the listing. At the very bottom of your screen, you're going to see 5 buttons. Let me see, just chat real quick and see. If you share a listing, Vince, we answered that. They can access it wherever they are, whether it's phone or on their desktop. Or I sent my app to my clients. I said it wouldn't let them log in and it was grayed out. Aaron, I'm not sure what could have happened there, but feel free to follow up with me offline. It may have been that they already created an account and they were attempting to log in with a different account. It's just a guess. That you may want to get with them and see what you can do to help them. If you can't solve that, reach out to me direct. We'll see if we can solve that for you. All right, bottom of the app, you're going to see 5 buttons. We have spent some time in the search, obviously, spending time searching for properties and all the different ways that we can search by location, by neighborhood, by using just standard houses, drawing on the map. Oh, one thing I didn't show you. How many of you have gone on a listing, right? Or maybe even a showing for a buyer. And you're like, wow, I wish I would have known it would have backed to that, because I know they wouldn't want to live in front of that. Or I know I would struggle when it comes time to sell the house because it backs to a car wash. It backs to the local high school and I can see the band practicing, right? So you can actually, it happened to me one time. I went on a listing, I had my comps fully prepared. It said that the house was worth, I don't remember, 270 or whatever. And then I get there and they back to a car wash, no lie. And then I have to present this CMA that says 270 and then have the conversation that says, and you're back to a car wash, so it's more like 240. And it was really tough because they're like $30,000 for the car wash. If I had known it back to the car wash, I could have been more aggressive about my pricing to make sure they understood that they were going to take a hit because they backed to a stinking car wash. So when you're in the consumer app, you can actually click on the More button at the top right-hand corner again. And you'll see there's 2 tabs at the top, Listing and Map. So Listings and Map. If I click on Map, you'll see there's 2 options there, Default or Satellite. Click on Satellite and then click on Done. Now zoom in, right? So you can no longer see the names of the neighborhoods. You can't see the names of the streets. However, as you start to zoom in, whoops, every now and then it does that to me. And I think it's just using up, it probably depends on this is an iPhone X, maybe I need to get an 11. But you can still see the name of the neighborhood there, but I can't see the names of the streets. However, this is one of our investment properties that I office out of. And if you were gonna help me sell it, you might be pulling comps and you're like, why am I'm getting 175, 180, 195, and I got these 2 outliers, 475 and 525. Well, if you came in and you used the consumer app to get the aerial view, right, the satellite view, you can see this investment property is located at the far north side of a neighborhood of smaller residential homes. These are probably 50, 55-foot lots. But if you look across the street, well, now you can see, oh, wow, look how big those lots are. And those houses just look bigger than these little guys over here. So that's probably why I'm getting 525, 475, because those are on 1-acre lots, whereas Marty's house is on a 7,000 square foot lot as compared, So it's a great way to kind of zoom in and see what's happening. Earlier, remember we were looking for Disney World? Here's the cool thing. Now we can actually see the satellite view of Disney, right? See the little kids swimming in the park, right? Look at all that traffic. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just a cool way to look up satellite view of anything, right? We talked about, what was it, SeaWorld? Let's see if we can see Shamu swimming around in SeaWorld San Diego. Close. And there you go. Now you can actually see SeaWorld, right? And see all the water. And look, see, there's even a boat. That's me one day. I want a boat. So it's a cool way to kind of train your consumer, right? Especially buyers. A lot of times they're like, we don't want to, how many of you know the ones that are like, we don't want to live in front of a power line? Well, great. Well, I can then zoom in and say, okay, are there power lines behind this house or not? And look how granular you can get, right? We don't want to live in a house that has palm trees outside. Okay, well, that house isn't yours. That one's not yours. So a great way for you to kind of help both your buyers and your sellers. Aaron, we're going to get to that. Bruce, you cannot search by independent school, only by district at this time. All right, so 5 buttons at the bottom. Let's work through those. So we've now spent some significant time in search. If I go to more, we've spent time in more with regards to branding your agent. You also have the ability to add a co-buyer, meaning they can add their husband or their wife or their business partner, and then that way they can communicate back and forth between two consumers. You have the ability to share the app from the app. Just be careful though, when you share it, it's as if the consumer is sharing it with a friend. So if you are acting as a consumer and then you're attempting to share the app with an actual client, it's kind of weird. Now you can change what this text says. It says, I use the KW app to search for homes with my realtor, Marty Miller. You can change what that message says and just come in here and delete that and just send them the app link or something similar. But just a heads up, if you're not paying attention to the message, it seems as if it's coming from a consumer, because it is. That's what's happening. Is it's actually, think about it, if this is a consumer app, a consumer might be sharing this with their friend, referring you as their agent, saying, hey, Marty's the best, here, I'll even send you my app. So that's basically what that looks like, to share the app from the app. Again, more information about Keller Mortgage, Keller Covered, Legal, and then Sign Out. We talked about the heart button, so we can click on that. You can see again my collections and my recently saved searches. The feed button, moving in from the left-hand side. They're still developing out what that button is going to do. They have a very good plan. It's just kind of building it out. And that's essentially where you would begin as an agent to start communicating with your client through the actual app. So you'd be able to communicate back and forth in the feed and kind of share properties and give recommendations and that type of stuff. So that's coming down the pike very quickly. Let's click on Guide. It's the middle button at the bottom, Guide. When you click on it, you're going to see two tabs. You've got the Buying tab and the Selling tab. Guys, this is for your consumer to use. And this only shows up once they've actually branded themselves to an app, to an agent. So it won't show up, right? They won't have a guide if they're not using a branded app. So once they brand to you, you are then basically telling them what is the process to buy a house with you. You can see there's 9 steps in the buying guide. Some of these may apply when they work with you. Some of these may not apply. You can see each one kind of has a header, and then you can actually click on the step and get additional detailed information. Now here's the deal, guys. You inadvertently, when you share this app with your clients, you're setting expectations, and they are making assumptions based upon what they read about what you're going to do. However, if you don't have any intention of doing some of the things in here, then you need to make sure that you understand what you're telling them you're going to do so that you can update the guide. And I'll show you how we're going to do that in Command in just a second. So you can actually get into the selling guide on the selling side. Here's the deal, guys. We get paid 3%, several $1,000 oftentimes. And we're going to tell the seller there's only 5 steps. So my recommendation is you come into your selling guide and you actually expand those. For example, showing your home. There's a ton of information here. And yet I might break these out into multiple steps. I might have the first step be preparing your home for staging, right? Or staging your home. And then it's preparing the home for the photographer and videographer. And then it is preparing your home to go live in the MLS. And then it is showing your home, right? Each one of those are separate steps. So then instead of making it look like there's only 5 steps, I can actually have, maybe 27 detailed steps that I'm going to take them through the process. Guys, here's the cool thing. Use this tool. When you're on a buyer consult and you know it's between you and one other agent, guys, show the buyer this guide and say, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, I've actually already created a detailed guide of what it's like to purchase a home with me. And you will have access to this information at any time. So you never have to worry about what the next step might be. You can just come into your app, and anytime we complete one of these steps, I'm going to check it off for you. I'm going to show you how you can do that in Command in just a second. But this is what you're telling them, right? So you never have to worry about what's happening. You'll always have the most updated information in your consumer app. Same thing on the listing side. So that other listing agent you're competing against, guys, they don't have this app unless it's another KW agent. And even then, they're probably not highlighting the app during the listing presentation. So make sure you pull out your phone and show your version of the consumer app to the consumer, the buyer or the seller, so that it's just one more value add that you are offering your clients, right? Just one more thing that you're offering. So that being said, homework item number 3, get into these guides and explore them. Understand what they say. And then if you need to make edits, I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this share. Carolina, I don't have this in Spanish. I will tell you that that's been a big ask on the RTT side, is just overall Command information in Spanish. for the app or command in general. So we are definitely working on it, but not available at this time. So let's dive into command. Oops, playing with that earlier for booking next week. All right, so consumer is the second to last tab within command. So you're going to come into the Consumer Applet on the left-hand side, again, second to last one. And if you want to alter your guide, you're going to go to the Guide Builder. You can click on the Guide Builder tab. And from there, you're going to see right now there are 2 guides available to be assigned. So they're assigned by default. You can see the buyer guide and the selling guide are those 2 tabs. Just so you know, in the future, they're working out the ability for you to create custom guides. So it might be a first-time home buyer guide versus a luxury home buyer guide versus a farm and ranch buyer guide, commercial buyer guide, even having a lease buying guide, right? A leasing guide, if you will. But all those different types of guides that you would be able to build out and then build out the steps for you, right? First-time home buyer is probably going to need some additional steps. Luxury home buyer might have some different additional steps. And so you could then assign which guides you want connected to which opportunity for which contacts. In order to edit these guides, should you choose to, you can come in and click on the pencil, just like all things command. Pencil means edit. And this is the seller's guide. You're going to see there are 5 steps listed: close, appraisal, inspection, review, and show. If you want to reorder these steps, you can just click on the tab on the left-hand side and reorder them. If you want to edit them, you would click on the actual step, and then you can see you have the card image. Well, first of all, I don't know how many homes there look like this. Not a lot of homes in Cadiz that look like this. So this looks like Miami or South Florida. So I could change the card image. I could change the card title. This kind of, I talked about it as like a teaser text, right? This information here is actually called the subtitle. So you could change that. And then you can scroll down, and this workspace text is what shows up when they click on the card. So you can come through and edit what's shown in the workspace text. Now, I told you I would subdivide this step out into multiple steps. So if you need to add a step, you're just going to scroll down to the bottom. You can see add a step, and then you can title it. You can get a subtitle, drag in the photo you want associated with it. Once you click on continue, then you can edit the workspace text from there. By default, your new step is going to show up at the bottom. So again, you would just take it and kind of drag it up to wherever it belongs. So you have the full ability, like I said, part of your homework is, and I'm not saying that you need to edit them, but I'm certainly saying that you want to be familiar with what they say so that when the time comes and the consumer is using your guide, they're not frustrated by you not doing what you said you were going to do, even though you didn't say it, the app said it for you, right? So making sure you understand what's included in the guide is very important. As far as moving people through the guide, right, I told you that you would be able to check off the steps. That happens in opportunities. So you can see the 2 hands shaking here, opportunities. You're going to build an opportunity and you're going to assign 1 or more contacts to that opportunity. You have to make sure that that contact or you have an email address for that contact that matches the email address that they put in when they actually downloaded the app. Okay, so when they download the app, they're going to be asked for an email address. If you need the 2 to connect, which you want that to happen so you can walk them through the guide, you just have to make sure they're using the same email address. So sometimes people use a personal email for an app and they gave you their work email. That would be an example where you wouldn't see the connection that you would want to. So you can see I'm going to come into this opportunity with my friend Elena. I asked her to download my app just so we could play with it and see what this looked like. So when I click on this opportunity, you will see that there is a seller profile tab. And it's the second one over within the actual opportunity. And some of you may say, well, I've seen that tab and I never even knew what it did, right? Well, that's okay, I'm about to show you. So if you click on the actual opportunity, you'll see the second tab over, seller profile. When I click on that tab, you can see that it says Elena has registered with Consumer Platform, right? Registered with Consumer Platform. Only seeing Marty. Cynthia, you don't see my screen share right now? I don't see the screen share either. Uh-oh, all right. Looks like maybe it went. Let's do stop share, share it again. How about now? Can y'all see the screen now? Yes, sir. All right, thanks, Cynthia. So I'm in the seller profile. And so I can now see that Elena has registered on my app. So this is how you know that they've actually registered, this little check mark icon. Here is the seller's guide. This is a listing-based opportunity, right? You can see it's in my listing pipeline. It even says the name of the opportunity is the listing. I can then see that the seller's guide has been tied to this opportunity, and I can see what step we're on right now. Now, let's say we already made it through, and here's a good example, guys, right? They do the inspection, and then what do? We negotiate repairs, but there's not actually a step that's called negotiate repairs. It's just included in an inspection. But for me, I want to build as much value into this relationship as possible, and I want them to know all of the things that I'm doing. So again, one more reason you might take those 5 really big steps and divide them out into multiple smaller steps so you can work them all the way through. But I can click on Manage Guide and then come here and say, okay, let's say we made it through inspections and we've negotiated repairs and everything's good. Now we're just waiting on third-party financing, which could be its own step, right? I would click on Completed. And now within Elena's app, she's actually going to have a check mark next to, when she goes into her selling guide, next to inspection. There'll actually be a check mark there, so she'll know that we completed it. So it's a great way. Now here's the deal, guys. If you're going to tell your buyer or seller that you're going to do that, then you need to do it, right? So you need to be working the opportunity and checking off the guide steps as you do it. I would hate for you to sit down at the closing table and they say, hey, remember, like, I don't know, 3 months ago, you said you were going to check all these steps off? You didn't check anything off, right? So make sure that you're going through and actually having them check off, or that you're checking off the steps. The consumer can actually do it too as well, just so you know. The consumer can check off a step and you'll actually get an alert, right? So that's how you work through the guides and how you move somebody to a guide. Let's talk a little bit about how we're going to get the app into people's hands. And then we're going to start answering some questions about what can I see, how can I see it, and some cool things that are happening within the next week or so. So 3 ways to get your app out into people's hands. Well, I'm going to teach you 3 ways. I'm sure there are plenty, but 3 main ways. First, I'm going to go back to the Consumer Applet. Second to last one. And whatever page I'm in, it doesn't matter if I'm in Landing, Agent, or Guide Builder, any one of these 3, there's always the Site and App Settings button. So I want to click on Site and App Settings. Then you're going to see I have 4 tabs right now. You are going to have a 5th one coming soon. It's actually called Featured Listings. So just have a heads up. But URLs is the tab you want to click on. So I'm going to click on URLs. And then you can see I have my app URL and my app text code. As the way that the app text code works is if you send this text to this number, you'll get a link to download the app. The reality is, I don't know. It may just be my parents. I love my parents. They are both like mastered. I think they even have PhDs. I don't know. They're freaking smart. Retired elementary educators. And I asked my mom and my dad, hey, I need you to help me out. I need you to test something. Will you text this code to this number? My mom sent me a text with this, but she sent it to me. I'm like, Mom, that's not how it works. My dad sent me and said, hey, it didn't work. And I'm like, can you show me your screen? Can you send me a screenshot? He sent me a screenshot. He sent this number to a contact called this. I don't even know how, like, I'm just like, Dad. So the app text code, be careful with it, right? It's not familiar practice. Not a lot of people are doing the text code. So that can get screwed up pretty easily. However, you do have the app URL here at the top. This is what I would recommend that you're sharing, right? Share this app. If it's a one-off, I'm sending a Facebook message to somebody, I'm sending a quick email, I can click on copy, and then I can send that link out to anyone, and it's right there, quick and easy for them to click on, and then have the ability to go download my app, right? So that's number 1, just manually sharing it with people. You'll want to know what the actual app URL is. The second method is actually through Smart Plans. So you'll see Smart Plans is the 4th icon down, looks like the diploma. I can click on Smart Plans. And if you haven't already moved it into your Smart Plans, if you go to the library, you'll see the newest one is called Promote My App. So I'm pretty sure they're all laid out the same way, but if you don't see the card in your top left, just kind of scroll through until you find it. Promote My App. And if you click on View Steps, you can see immediately it sends out an email. It sends out an email talking about your consumer app. It gives them the ability to download your specific app from that email. And then it waits a day, and then it sends them an automated text. Now, if you don't have Twilio set up, again, it's just going to fire a task for you to send this text yourself. Guys, I cannot recommend Twilio more. Like the things that Twilio can do, both within our Smart Plans, through texting so that I can save the conversation within their contact record, to sending out bulk texts, I mean, Twilio is really, it's a very powerful program. So if you don't have Twilio text set up, it's not going to automatically fire. And when you do have Twilio set up, it'll automatically send this text out, and then it'll wait 3 days, and then it's going to send out this text. So basically sends them 1 email and 2 texts about your app, attempting to get them to download it. Now, if for any reason you're in My Smart Plans and you're like, I just don't like what that text said when Marty showed it, or when I see it, when I look at it, you can always come over to the pencil icon for My Promote My App, and you can edit those 2 texts. So if you want them to say something different, you can come in and edit the body of this text, and you can edit the body of this text. I told you I was the son of 2 elementary educators, right? I can guarantee you that in your text, this is a period. It's just because I'm very big on grammar and punctuation. So it actually says, did you see that a neighbor listed a home in your area, period. I was the newspaper editor for my high school as a sophomore, and then again as a junior and a senior. So it's really important for me that we show ourselves professionally with grammar and punctuation. So I've changed this one to a question mark in my world, and then I can click on save, and it will save the update. Now anyone that's receiving this text from this point forward will get one that has a question mark. If you just don't like what it says and you want to change it, you can. Here's the cool part. It is sending out your specific app link. So they can click on it and they're going to get one branded to you. Trust and verify, right? So if I was sending this out to people, I would want to make sure I follow up and say, hey, did you get the text? And they're like, yeah, I got it. I downloaded the app. Cool. Here's a screenshot of mine. Does yours look like this? Just want to make sure that we have the ability to connect via the app as long as you're branded to me. So option 1, send it out manually. Option 2, put all your contacts on a Share My or Promote My App smart plan. Option 3, share it via social media. So if you come down to the campaigns megaphone and you click on it, excuse me, you're going to see, as long as you have set up your Facebook and or your Twitter account within the settings of your command, you can click on social posts, and on the right-hand side, as we start to scroll down, you're going to see 2 posts that have already been built out for you talking about your consumer app. Guys, a lot of people tell me, Marty, I'm just not good at Facebook. I don't know what to say. I don't have any pretty pictures. Fantastic, I get it. Marketing is not my strength either. And here is already a professionally designed photo with professionally designed text. I can click on this arrow and then easily have a text to go out on my social media page, whether that's Facebook or Twitter. It's already well written. If I don't like what's written here, I can click on shuffle and actually get a new paragraph that's already been written for me. And look, both of these contain my actual app link. It's already got a custom design marketing photo. It's going to draw attention to your post. You got your DBA logo in here, and then I can decide, hey, do I want this to go out on Facebook or Twitter? And do I want it to go out now? Or do I want to schedule it? And if I schedule it, I can click in this box, and then you can see, all right, when do I want to actually schedule this for? Guys, here's the cool part. I showed you that there were 2. You're like, well, that's not going to get me very far. No worries. Click on shuffle. Now you can see 2 new posts, completely different. Let me click on shuffle again. Oh, there's a few more and a few more. And I can just keep on clicking and I'll get a variety of them. You want to keep on clicking because at some point you want to share the consumer app video. And sometimes you got to click once and it'll show up. Sometimes you got to click, what was that, 12 times? So this is what you're looking for. If you share nothing else, I would be sharing this video onto your Facebook and Twitter accounts. This is the actual app video from Family Reunion. If you didn't get a chance to see it, I'll play like the first 10 or 15 seconds, just so you can kind of get a feel for how well done it is, how well put together it is, and how catchy. I mean, it's got good music, it's got good, like, just crisp. All right, so here we go. All right, so it's going to sell the app for you. When I say sell, it's just highlighting the unique features that our app has. And in order to share this video, all you have to do is click on the arrow. And there's the text already written for you. If you don't like it, click on that one. It'll give you a new one. If the video is already uploaded, you can decide, do I want to schedule this one? or do I want it to go live right now? And if you click on schedule post, then you can see, all right, when do I want this one to go out? Guys, here's the deal. I would make sure that you spent, this would probably take 20 minutes max. Once a week, 20 minutes scheduled into your calendar where you come into social posts and you put out 3, 4, 5 posts scheduled on your Twitter and your business pages so that people will then see more information about your app. Guys, here's the reality. You could schedule a post every single day for the next 30 days. And there's a chance that there are people that are fans of your page or friends of yours that will see it one time. Because again, remember the Facebook algorithm isn't showing everything everyone's doing to everybody else. There's just no way, there's so much content. So when you're putting out these posts, there's a chance that, hey, 2 friends saw it on Monday, and then 2 different friends saw it on Wednesday, and then 2 different friends saw it on Friday, and then 3 saw it Saturday, and so on and so forth. You understand what I'm saying? So my recommendation is be consistent. Set 20 minutes Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, whenever you're going to do it. And then just be consistent about holding that appointment with yourself to post about your app. And do it again, 20 minutes, you can schedule 5 posts just like that. I can just schedule this one. Yep, this one's gonna go out on Monday and 10 o'clock, and schedule, I want it to go out on, let's say, I'll just go out on Twitter and Facebook, schedule the post. Boom, done. All right, now I want to schedule this one. Let's have this one go out. I already trust that the writing looks good, and let's do Facebook and Twitter. I want that one to go out on Wednesday. Schedule that bad boy, and I'm done. All right, and let's do a little shuffle here real quick in just a second. Then I can get the other 2. I can schedule those. All right, so shuffle. This one looks good. Let me click on the arrow. All right, cool. Let's have this one go out again, Facebook and Twitter. I want that one to go out on Friday, which is the 1st. 10 a.m. still sounds good. And boom, schedule post, schedule post. How long did that take me? 2 minutes, maybe. And I now have 3 posts scheduled out to go on my business page Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week. That's it. They're going out on my Facebook business page and on my Twitter account. And I'm going to leave it. I haven't actually done this, so I'm going to leave this so it actually does go out on my business page. But that's how easy it is to get that content. Next week, you're like, hey, I don't know, I did the red house and the white kitchen, so I'm going to shuffle it. And then the next week, I'm going to do, all right, cool, the Victorian and then the rosebush house. You could actually schedule out the entire month if you wanted to, spend 30 minutes doing it and do the entire month. And then now my entire social media content about my app, at least I have something going out of my business page 2, 3, 4 times a week. Guys, if we don't think that consumers are looking us up on Facebook and kind of peeping what we're doing, we're kidding ourselves, right? You guarantee they're looking for you on Facebook. And if they see your business page, and I'll be transparent, mine is this way right now because obviously I'm just doing agent referrals and past clients. I'm not actively doing lead gen, and my job is RTT. So I'm a victim of the one thing I'm saying right now, that if you go to my Facebook business page, I probably haven't posted on it in 3, 4, 5 months. If I called you to say, hey, you want to sell your house with me? And you look me up and say, this guy hasn't done anything on their business page in 5 months. It's not a deal breaker, but it might be something where they're like, I don't know about this guy, right? How solid is he? So use the social posts, use the smart plan, and then use the manual method, 3 different methods of attack, if you will, to get consumers on your app. How do you know a new consumer has downloaded your app? Well, here's the cool thing. They automatically come into your database if they did not already exist there. So this is a good example for social media. You're running the post and you have them going out, and you want to see if anyone has come in. There is a new filter in contacts. So if you click on filters, it's actually called branded to me in this bottom right corner. So you can click on branded to me and you'd say yes and apply. And then you're going to see these are all people that have come into my system because they downloaded my app or they registered on my site. Okay, so if you're making a big push to get people to download your app, this is a great way. You could even say filters, branded to me, and I want to see, all right, maybe within the last, so created within the last, and let's just say you made a big push over the weekend. So I want to see within the last 3 days. Mine's probably going to come up empty because I haven't had anyone register in the last 3 days. But just another example of how you can use the actual filter, if you will. Okay. So questions so far. We have talked about the app. We put our consumer hat on, right? We talked about how to search all the cool things that the app can do. Then we took the consumer hat on, put our agent hat on. We started showing through what it looked like within the agent side to share the app, how to create custom guides. One thing I did show you is what it looks like when people start doing things on the actual app. So let me clear out these filters. And I'll get back into Elena's contact record and kind of show you. So here's Elena. I showed you her opportunity earlier. Now you can see, right? I just completed those guides. This was from this morning's class. This is from this afternoon's class. So anytime a guide step is completed, you'll see it. Anytime they do a listing, you'll see it. You can see Elena actually, she viewed this listing twice. I can tell because it's the same listing number. She viewed it at 5:37, and then she viewed it at 8:44. And if I want to get more information about the property, I can click on it, and it takes me directly to the property. Here it is, right? It's a property. Now this is Montana, because that's where she lives, up north there. And you can see that there is price. This is what I talked about when I said there was a price decrease. This would have shown up in her app when she was looking at it, just below the address. So between the address and the price, or between the price and the address, this little icon would have shown up. So you can see what that looks like, right? Here's the deal, guys. There's two schools of thought with how to use the app with your contacts. Number one, make sure they know and use it as a selling point. Hey, the greatest part about the app is anytime that you're liking a favorite or viewing a listing or creating a collection or marking up a guide step or any of that kind of stuff, I can see all of that. It helps me be better in tune for what you're looking for as a buyer or what you're looking at as a seller. Just make sure that I'm prepared when the time comes to understand what your needs are. So you have literally told them, I can see what you're doing. The other opportunity is to play dumb, right? And I could call Elena. Now I wouldn't because she's in Montana. I can't show her this house, but let's pretend like this was a KD listing. And I could call Elena and be like, hey, so my wife and I were driving to the neighborhood the other day and I saw a new listing come up. And I think it might be perfect for you. I remember when we met, you were saying you needed a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 30,000 square feet or more, under 400. I think I found the one. It's listed at 8185 Ramini Road. And what's Elena going to say? Oh my gosh, I was just looking at it this morning. I think that might be a really good fit as well. Yeah. Wow, what a coincidence. Cool. You want to go see it tonight or you want to see it first thing tomorrow morning? So there's the play it dumb method and then there's the let them know method. The method you don't want to do is don't let them know, but then all of a sudden be like, hey, saw you were on your app at like, I don't know, 2 in the morning last night. You're looking at some properties. You want to go see them? And then they're thinking like, whoa, how are you in my phone? And then all of a sudden their card gets hacked and that's your fault too. And you know what I mean? Like, so some people are very nervous about the fact that you can see what's happening in their phone if you don't tell them in advance. So that's why you kind of want to do one of the two school of thoughts. Tell them you can see everything that's happening, or don't tell them and play dumb, but don't not tell them and then tell them later on, because then they're freaked out like, whoa, I didn't know that was going to happen. So make sure they understand and sell it as a selling point. I can see everything that's happening with what you're doing in the app. Right now, we can see if they have viewed a listing. We can see if they've completed a step. However, the app update, and guys, just between us, it's probably going to be happening next week. There's going to be a new update to the app, and we're going to get to see significantly more information about what our consumer is doing on the app. So it is planned to release next week. Now, don't hold me to that. We know sometimes things get held up, but it is planned for a release next week. And I'm actually going to show you the slide, and it even says on the slide, take it with a grain of salt, because things are always constantly in flux with regards to command. But let me show you this. So these are the things that we're going to be able to actually start seeing in the consumer app. So you can see that we're going to be able to see when they search, you'll actually be able to see the search criteria they are putting in. How many times have you met with a buyer and they say, well, our budget's up to $250. And then all of a sudden they send you a house that's $330. You're like, whoa, what changed? You're going to know something changed way in advance because they're changing the filters that they're looking for on their app. So you'll see their search activity. Obviously, you're going to see when they've registered on the site. If they view a neighborhood, whether that's from the listing or from the map, either way, you'll be able to know which neighborhood they're looking at. Now, again, they may just be clicking, let's be real. However, if you see them view a neighborhood and then view several properties in that neighborhood, there's a good chance you might want to make yourself familiar with that neighborhood. So when they call you and say, hey, what do you know about Chesterfield Village? You can say, oh, I actually know it well. I'm relatively certain that it's zoned to Exley Elementary, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So you have a better understanding of where they're looking at and a better understanding of what they need. So when they call, you look like the market expert. You can see when they create a collection, and even more importantly, you can see what they're putting into that collection. So if they're putting into their favorites or they create a custom collection, you'll see the properties that they are putting in. Anytime they edit that collection, you'll see when they view a listing, which I just showed you, you can actually see the address and then dive into that property. And then again, when they ask an agent, that's going to come through. Now, here's the deal, guys. Right now, we're still working on notifications. We've been working on notifications for a long time. All of this information is going to happen within Command and Kelly. So Kelly is how you're going to get it to your mobile device. Command is going to show up with the red dot next to the bell. Okay, so you need to be paying attention. If you don't have Kelly downloaded on your phone, there's massive homework number one, right? Go download Kelly. Make sure you have that app on your phone. Here's the other thing I would recommend. Let me show you real quick. We're going to switch gears back to my phone. So I'm going to stop that share. I'm going to share my phone. And there we go. In your settings on your phone, my recommendation is that you come in. Now, Android, you don't have this option, but a lot of you are probably using iPhone. So I would come in and you're going to just scroll down in your settings until you find the Kelly app. You can see I've just got a lot of crap on my phone, a lot of apps. So go through until you find Kelly. There's Kelly. I want to click on notifications. So that red box is notifications. And then I want to click on banner style. And I want to make sure that persistent is checked. That way, when I get an alert from Kelly, it's going to show on my screen until I dismiss it. The other option is that it basically just shows on your screen for like a second or two, and you got to hope that you were looking down, right? So we don't want that to happen. So I would go in and make sure that you change your settings so that it's persistent notifications within your Kelly app, so that we have a better chance of seeing those notifications come through. And then, of course, making sure that you're logging into Command at least once a day, guys, if not multiple times a day, so you can kind of see what's happening and what notifications are coming into your Command account. Guys, that's pretty much it for today. I would love to answer any questions that you have. If you have a question you want to ask live, feel free to raise your hand. I can unmute you. Of course, you also have the ability to ask questions in the chat, and we can get those answered as well. Cynthia says, what's the best way to get started following you on YouTube? So if you come to my YouTube channel, let me go back to share. I actually have multiple playlists within YouTube. So if you come to YouTube, it's going to default to my account, but you can just search for Marty Miller. You're going to see here's my channel. If you click on my channel, then you can click on playlists. I believe it looks pretty much the same from y'all's side as well. You're looking for, I mean, it depends, right? Here's an entire playlist on the consumer app. Now this might have changed just slightly because the consumer app's been updated. And then the 66-day challenge has been the most popular series that I put together. I had a 1.0 and then a 2.0 and now a 3.0. I would definitely recommend that you focus on learning 3.0. 1.0 and 2.0 were several months, if not more than a year old. So the 3.0 challenge, you can actually click on it. It'll give you the full list, and here are all of the videos that I have about Command, and you can literally binge watch them. So once you watch this one, it'll automatically take you into day 1, and then to day 2, then day 3, so on and so forth. When you're in my channel, you can't see it on mine because I'm already subscribed to mine, but let's just say Keller Williams. Looks like, let's just click on Keller Williams training. So here's a good example. Here's Keller Williams Select training videos. This is probably a Market Center channel. When you come and look for Marty Miller, you're going to have a subscribe button as well. So I recommend that you click on the subscribe button, and then you're going to have a little bell as well. Click on the bell, because when you subscribe, then you're going to get you're subscribed to my channel. You'll see it when you come into YouTube. You can see here are the ones I've subscribed to. But when you click on the bell, you're going to get an email every time I upload a new video. And so that way you always have constant updates of what's happening as I continue to upload content to YouTube. So that was a long explanation for a simple question. Sorry about that, Cynthia. Any other questions, comments, concerns? We can talk about the consumer app. We can talk about Command's integration with the consumer app. You can ask me anything at this point. It's Friday. You guys have a happy hour after this, from what I understand. Some of you may have started early. I don't judge. What you got? Anything? Well, if not, then guys, it's been a pleasure working with you today. I'm really sad that I can't be there and give you guys hugs and handshakes, because I really do like to meet you guys and get to know you better. Can't wait for Q3 when I do get to come back up, God willing, and see all of you guys in person. But y'all got an amazing leadership team there. Michelle, good to see you on the call. And I would definitely send you the link for this video so you can send it out to those that missed. Go have fun, right? Go enjoy that happy hour. I don't know what Michelle's doing. I know I was on one earlier that, not earlier, it was yesterday. But we did a scavenger hunt, and let's just say it got very entertaining very quickly. So don't know if y'all are doing that, but go have fun, enjoy your weekend. And as always, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. Y'all take care. Bye, guys.